Hello, Reject Nation. I'm Greg Alba.
And I'm the Kylerman.
We're gonna watch 8 perfect movie castings that went horribly wrong. This is from the channel What Culture, one of my favorite channels of all time. I think they make some of the best list videos. They're actually kind of funny. We should do a list video together sometime, Kyle.
I make a couple of those. Yeah, those
Yeah, I mean, there was a time we were doing a good amount of them, but we haven't done one in a while. We just did favorite Game of Thrones characters.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, dude, this is our most watched video. 3,000 views. Doing incredibly well right now. People are always like, "Oh, I'm so glad this isn't a reaction. I'm glad that you're doing something that's not a reaction." You know, it's always a response. Now, if we did a reaction to someone else's list video, a favorite Game of Thrones would have been way better. Welcome to What Culture.
The term perfect casting is a strange little saying. In its intent, it refers to a time when a film manages to find an actor so suited to the role that it would be impossible to imagine it done better, like Heath Ledger as the Joker, or your mum in Old and Dry but well worth a try #5. That being said, it's a phrase which only makes sense when the film is done and dusted, as so many times we've been presented with air quotes perfect fits, which just end up being terrible. So you know the drill, let's have a look at some of the worst today. With this in mind, I'm Jules, your Southwest Savage, haven't said that in a while, and these are 8 perfect casting decisions that went horribly wrong. Number 8, Christian Bale as John Connor.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, great one.
Dark Knight trilogy under his
Great.
belt, Bale's action hero credentials
Yeah.
were well established, and fans were led to expect a lot from his performance as John Connor in Terminator Salvation. Unfortunately, thanks to a sloppy, incoherent script too focused on
he's
shoehorning
such in this
references,
movie.
Bale's presence was all but completely wasted in a generic and unmemorable
I thought
role.
he
It
just
says
sucked.
something that the one thing most people remember about Salvation is Bale's notorious on-screen rant. A performance that was more passionate than anything seen in the actual Kingsley as the Mandarin slash
Oh, God, I just
That's
talked
the
about
writing,
this.
though. That's the
I've gone on
writing.
about this a few times now, but you know what? I just love the I am Trevor moment that annoyed people so very much. That being said, I can definitely see that casting and then switching Kingsley was a waste of his monumental talent. The first half of the film builds the Mandarin beautifully as this ruthless warlord,
Yeah.
only to see it fall fouler than Trevor's bathroom upon release. Of course, we can't blame Kingsley for this seemingly perfect casting going horribly wrong. He does his best to handle the switch, but it's the tone-shifting hands of Shane Black, the director, who should bear the brunt of our ire, who took a fearsome character and turned him into a wet fart of a joke.
Yeah.
Number 6, Tom Hanks as Professor G.H. Dorr, the Lady Killers. If you're going to remake
kinda
a
like
classic
him in
black
this movie,
comedy,
but I've
in
heard
this
this
case
before.
The Lady Killers, and you're trying to find someone to take on the role of Professor Marcus, the snide, insincere lead, then you should probably find somebody with the acting chops to even stand close to the likes of Alec Guinness. Now, Tom Hanks is such a man. Whether he's on an island or he's got AIDS,
Such a
Hanks
man.
is a steam train of talent.
Is that
So
island
when he
or
was
has
announced to
AIDS?
take on the mantle,
Jeez.
people were pretty keen on the idea. The trouble was that the Coen brothers thought that maybe they should, what's the sentence I'm looking for? Oh yeah, undo all of the character's traits that made the original so great, in that they didn't make him creepy, didn't give him those odd teeth, and instead just made him spew toilet humour. That is a hard pass for me. Thank you kindly.
The movie itself
Number
just
5,
wasn't that
Tommy
great.
Lee Jones as Harvey Dent / Two-Face.
Oh.
Batman Forever. Now, Batman Forever is never going to win any awards for what it does with the Batman lore, except maybe providing the weirdest looking Gotham City known to date. It's such a shame as the talent on the Rogues Gallery side is phenomenal, with potential serial killer, no seriously he said he'd be killing people if he wasn't acting, Jim Carrey, and monolith of wrinkles, Tommy Lee Jones. It was TLJ's performance that was the most disappointing, however, as it appeared he didn't get the memo to play Two-Face and instead seemingly was channeling the Joker instead. It's not a bad Joker per se, but this wasn't the role for him.
Nope.
Which is annoying, really, because when
It
you've got a
was.
face like a Shar-Pei puppy, he had the right look and presence to pull off a decent Two-Face. Number 4, Johnny Depp as Willy Wonka, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
What? I
Black
kinda
Heat,
like him.
Check. Paler than
You
a
don't like
polar
it?
bear ghost.
I like it.
Check.
It's
Weird
hard when you're
headpiece.
comparing it with the
Check.
original.
Well, we can't say that Johnny Depp didn't bring everything to the forefront of what made his other f***ing characters so great. The problem was that while his oddball nature and penchant for weirdness appeared to be a perfect choice on paper, no one seemed to mention that while Wonka is as emotionally stable as My Last Relationship, he's not repressed to the point of mundanity. His outbursts of passion seem to be so much more harsh than Wilder's fluctuating madness, and meant that Wonka just came across like an asshole for the majority. Thank you. Number 3, Paul Giamatti as Rhino, The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Man.
Don't hire an amazing
He was in a
actor
totally
and only
different
give him
movie.
3 minutes of screen time as a villain with more potential than your actual main baddie.
Yeah.
This should be obvious, right? At one point, there were big plans for the Rhino with a view to update his character and move onwards with a Sinister Six theme. But sadly, this was reduced to the book-ending narrative with all the punch of weak-wrist man fighting off big wall lad. Number 2, Michael Shannon as General Zod.
Oh,
Man
what?
of Steel.
Really?
I liked
Okay,
him
before
in
you
that.
fire off in the comments, Shannon's performance of Zod was in no way bad, but the issue was that while his tone was psychopathic and powerful, that's all it was. Fans of the comics will know that Zod is a lot deeper than just being an angry space dude, and the film even gave light to motivations much deeper than kill all and be all. Yet for some reason the Shan man was set to 100% pissed, and all his dialogue sounded like it was the result of being told the boom mic operator is on another continent. So loud, so very monotone. Such a shame. And number 1, Christoph Waltz as Ernst Stavros Blofeld, Spectre. See, this entry is kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Younger Bond fans might not know of the importance of Blofeld, but by gum was his announced appearance in the run-up to Spectre's release a big deal. It was made even bigger thanks to Waltz taking up the role because, I mean, let's face it, when has he ever turned in a bad run? Well, here, I guess, but I mean, it's not terrible, but it's just really underwhelming.
Bland.
When you've got an actor with more pedigree than Triple H at Crufts, then you should probably give him room to actually get your character across. Because of being undeveloped before the twist reveal, all we really feel for the later half of his performance is that we're playing catch-up to someone rather than growing to fear them. It also doesn't help that Waltz is actually too good at his job, in that he delivers a near-perfect example of what an older Bond villain should be. Yet that's the issue. Older, because every other aspect of the Bond franchise had been updated to move with the times, and this felt like too much of a throwback, which ultimately left us with something that felt like it Blofeld. Puns. I've got them. And that's our list. Got any other perfect casting choices that fell a little flat? Well, let me know about them in the comments section below. And why not swing by whatculture.com for more news and articles like this every goddamn day. As always, I've been Jules, you've been awesome, and I'll speak to you soon.
I would say Jared Leto as the Joker.
Oh, yeah.
I thought Jared Leto, like, when I heard he was cast, I wasn't like, whoa, what? I was like, yeah, that's probably a really good choice, actually. And that was a pretty big letdown. I've seen Suicide Squad twice, and I saw the extended cut. I like him even less with the extra scene I saw of him. I thought this list was great. I love the topic. Just to begin with, you know?
That happens so frequent.
Christian Bale as John Connor, man. I could go on and on about that. Because even when they talked about the rant, what you off the fucking set, you prick. When he gave his apology for it, I did believe him, and I still do. He was so in the zone of John Connor. You know, a lot of that was coming out.
Well, I think he is truly, he's a phenomenal
actor. Yeah,
he's a phenomenal actor. He was a great Batman, but he would actually, he would be a great Joker, I think.
I saw the trailer for Salvation. I'm like, yes, he looks epic in this movie. And then I watched the film, and I couldn't stand him. I was honestly annoyed by him. And I don't blame it solely on the writing and directing, which is also not good. Sam Worthington's in the film, and he does a great job.
Yeah,
Sam Worthington's fantastic.
And I feel sad because Sam Worthington hasn't gone very
far. Sam Worthington's been in so many big movies, and like no one seems to like him that too much. But Christian Bale in that movie, that was such a solid choice here because I did feel that like perfect casting, and then you watch it, you're like, wow, he's really annoying in this movie.
But again, I think with a lot of these roles, I don't even know if it's necessarily even their fault. A lot of the times, especially like with Ben Kingsley with Iron Man 3, it's very much just how it's written. It's not always the fault of the actor. But that being said, John Connor was like built up for so many years as this, guy who like...
epic leader. Of the resistance. Yeah.
And then he was just kind of like...
he was Batman voice. That's all he was. You killed my father. Calories. Like he's doing it. And he says every single line in that movie. Or he occasionally yells. Ben Kingsley, though, because of the topic on this list, I get why he's here. But it really was the writing and the direction of that film. Because when I first saw Iron Man 3, I hated that twist. I did.
Yeah, I think everyone did, yeah.
When I rewatched it, I liked it because I knew it was coming, so I was able to accept the context of what the entirety was, and I enjoyed the twist. And I think Ben Kingsley does a really good job as the Mandarin, and he does a really good job as this Trevor guy.
He showed just how great of an actor he is in that movie. It's just, I think the problem is it's already shared universe.
Yeah.
Connected to comic books. If Shane Black, and I said this, and then I said this in one of my videos at one point, if Shane Black made this as a standalone original film, separate from it being connected to the
like
MCU,
what they're doing with their Joker movie. In the
yeah, it would probably had gone over much better than it did. It's just that you're already attached to something that, and there's expectations, and the Mandarin is like the Iron Man
villain,
villain,
Iron Man counterpart. And what was disappointing about it was because Ben Kingsley was fantastic as the Mandarin.
He was fantastic as whatever his crazy character was. At the end there,
he had the quotes from the trailer that we were all digging. We were like, man, he's gonna kill it as the Mandarin. You got to respect the twist in a sense because you're like, yeah, I didn't see that coming. Same time, they're like, I kind of just wish he was the Mandarin.
As far as Two-Face with Batman, he really was trying to be the Joker. It was very, very obvious there. It was like, that's not
Two-Face.
Like Two-Face, there's two characters there, but he was pretty much just playing the one.
He was just loud,
over the
angry
top
villain. And I'm like, dude, you already got Jim Carrey here. Please dial it back a little bit.
Again, that's not necessarily his fault. I mean, but
are we sure about that? Are we sure about that?
Okay, I'm going to blame him a little bit for that. But the Schumacher is kind of
loud, obnoxious.
Made the whole thing very cartoonish to begin with.
I
mean, it's not that Batman is a real character, but we want the real movie, the real people to feel somewhat real. He was just a cartoon character.
Oh, yeah, especially because Harvey Dent was a DA who developed split personality and turned bad and has dual identity.
Yeah.
A subtle performance would have been way better, especially with a Tommy Lee Jones kind of actor. Oscar-winning actor Tommy Lee Jones. Instead, doing that was obnoxious and annoying.
I agree.
It's frustrating to sit through, actually. Very frustrating.
I don't sit through it. Yeah.
I don't. I actually never revisit Batman Forever. And then when you have, like, scenes with, like, the Riddler and that Two-Face, it's like, oh, I'm getting a headache.
Willy Wonka, Johnny Depp. Let me just say, I still love Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I think it's a fantastic movie. Just don't compare it to the original because it's not. And I don't think that Johnny Depp was terrible in that. It's just there was potentially better choices out there than Johnny Depp.
Like who? Dustin Hoffman.
That would have been amazing.
Actually, it would have been really good.
And I think it's unfortunately a curse that's associated with Johnny Depp. Sometimes Johnny Depp being the lead in a Tim Burton film isn't always the best choice. I think he could have easily played one of the parents. There could have been another role for him in there that would have been equally. But I know that he's Johnny Depp and we want to highlight him. And I think it's hard because we already have a Willy Wonka. And you don't want to make him the same as the other guy. But at the same time, like, he wasn't creepy the way that Gene Wilder was.
No, not at all. I only saw Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory once in grade school.
You're kidding me.
I never rewatched it.
Oh, wow.
I remember, like, enough of it, like the fingers crossed behind the back.
Yeah, it's one of my all-time favorite movies. Yeah.
A lot of people say that. So I don't have this nostalgia love for Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory that I feel like most people I know possess.
Sure.
So when they go to the Chocolate Factory, it's like, what are you doing, Johnny Depp? Like, I don't feel that. It was very easy for me to adjust to the weird Tim Burton style of Johnny Depp being Willy Wonka. And I enjoyed him. I thought he was funny.
Did you like him better as Willy Wonka or as the Mad Hatter?
Willy Wonka.
Really?
I don't like that movie.
You like this Willy Wonka?
I might get crap for it. I cannot tell you 100% what makes Gene Wilder such an amazing performance because I don't really remember the movie. I remember it was a very sincere, much more subtle performance. I loved that, like, this is just such a creepy, weird dude who I grew to like. I feel like the first half of this movie, I don't like Willy Wonka, but by the end, I'm like, oh, I get why this guy is the weirdo he is. And I feel like it's because it's Charlie's perspective of him, of why I'm able to like him. So, but as opposed to, Gene Wilder's, you're like, oh, he's just likable up front. I feel like if you take out Willy Wonka's character and you just look at the movie, it's a dark, twisted fairy tale of a film.
No, it's fine.
Which the original doesn't feel like. With the way Tim Burton's feels like Johnny Depp's Willy Wonka fits in with that.
That's a fair argument.
Opinions are objective, and you must accept mine.
I accept your opinion. Oh, Michael Shannon.
As Zod, I mean, I'm not too familiar with the Zod comic book character, but I thought he was fine.
Really?
In Man of Steel.
Oh, I figured you knew all about him. What? I really did.
People need to stop thinking this about me.
No, I thought he was great. I actually liked Man of Steel. I actually liked the movie.
I like Man of Steel.
I thought it was a good Superman movie, and I was not upset at all with the subtle changes that they made to the character.
Yeah.
I thought he was a great villain, and I thought he was compelling and menacing and all things you want.
I
from
don't
a
think it
villain.
was this one-note performance that what culture's sort of making it out to be. Every time I see one of their list videos, there's always like one thing I'm like, I disagree.
I mean, he was angry, but he was also trying to work with Clark Kent's character. And Paul Giamatti in Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Oh, dude.
I feel really bad for Paul Giamatti for that role.
Well,
because
he was in a totally different film.
I love Spider-Man.
He was what
Love it,
Tommy
but-
Lee Jones was in Batman Forever, but for like 30 seconds in Amazing Spider-Man 2, you know? I don't think you understand what the tone of this movie is supposed to be. I mean, I don't really like that movie to begin with.
No, it's terrible, and I'm saying that, and I love Spider-Man.
And that's strange because when I first saw it, I was like, it's all right. And then when I rewatched it, I was like, oh, I can't stand this movie.
I left the theater just being like, I don't know why I'm upset. I just saw a Spider-Man movie, but I'm really upset right now. Like, I think that he was actually one of the better villains in the movie.
Really? Well, that movie has something weird where they're going for like realistic, subtle stuff, but whenever their characters turn into villains, they become so over the top. Like Harry Osborn as Green Goblin becomes so over the top, or Jamie Foxx as Electro. Even just Jamie Foxx's Max in the movie, he's like kind of over the top. And then I don't understand why when they become villains, they're so over the top. You're trying to go for like, this is the more dark, realistic interpretation of Spider-Man, you know?
Yeah. The originals didn't do that quite as bad until like the third one. It killed the franchise, but thank God it did because, I mean, that and the leak and Sony got it, but we're getting off topic. But thank God for that Spider-Man. Yeah, Paul Giamatti, feel bad for him.
Paul Giamatti can be a little over the top in general.
But I mean, Rhino is a character that's ridiculous anyway. He's kind of silly in the comic books. Like no one ever takes him seriously.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't totally fit in with the movie though.
No, especially that
he's
movie.
very crammed in. Like, he doesn't need to be there.
Look at all these villains.
Yeah. And
Christoph
Christoph Waltz as Blofeld.
I was really underwhelmed.
I'm kind of sick of Christoph Waltz playing bad guys, but at least when he plays bad guys, he's entertaining. Like, that's kind of where I'm at with Christoph. I'm kind of there with Javier Bardem too.
I felt like
kind of sick of it.
I felt like Christoph Waltz in that movie. Basically, they spent the entire time with his villain going, "I'm someone important." And
he's so dull in that movie.
Yeah, no, he's so dull. Like
I feel like him and Daniel Craig both did not want to be in that movie. I don't know why. They just didn't give their A game in that film. Both of them didn't.
Let me just get these lines down and get my paycheck.
That's exactly what it felt like.
I'm contractually obligated.
In terms of like writing, it really relies on you enjoying who Christoph Waltz is playing. If you saw a Bond movie that's like 20 Bond movies ago, you know?
While it's great that you're paying homage to your classic, it doesn't feel like it takes place now. It didn't feel like it was reaching its audience because most of its audience now are younger and they don't recognize all those Bond villains.
I feel like most of us probably started from Pierce Brosnan. And that's just a
It's
fact.
true.
It's like
It's
I know there's plenty of you out there who have seen
No, it's so true.
You know, the T-Doll and the Sean Connery and the Roger Moore. I actually just bought all of them. I've been watching them from the beginning.
I watched those movies with my dad all the time, but the ones that really stood out originally for me were the Pierce Brosnan movies with GoldenEye and so on. Like,
yeah.
It doesn't make sense that they went this route with this movie.
And
like
in terms of Spectre too, like I just gotta say, like the first two movies, Spectre is like the consistency between those two. Dr. No is from Spectre, and then the sequel is Spectre Wants Revenge.
Yeah.
So then the fact that they were like, oh, they're finally bringing in Spectre into the Daniel Craig ones, this is huge. And then it just sucked. You know? I say Quantum of Solace is the worst one of the Daniel Craig ones, but I think Spectre is the most disappointing one.
Sure.
Because Quantum of Solace had all like the writers' issues and all that.
I think that what they were trying to do with this movie was almost like what Star Trek Into Darkness was trying to do, where they were trying to bring back their big character and like you know, come on.
No, just do your own thing at this point.
I mean, this is sort of an alternate timeline anyway. I mean, this is
It very much is. It's the most confusing origin tale you can do. It's an origin tale, but it takes place many years after all the other Bond movies. What? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, What Culture, for making a really solid list. That was actually
it really was
like a great topic. Because I feel like, normally list videos are pretty like easy to go to topics, but this is like an interesting topic and with a great list assembled for it. Thank you, What Culture, for providing that list. You can subscribe to The Real Rejects, click that notification bell, follow the Kyler Man on Instagram and Twitter, part of the Fan Theory YouTube channel, not just part of, the head of, the star of. He is everything for it. And go check out our Patreon. Become a Patronaject today!